we're different than a traditional publisher for sure, but we are very different than a traditional vanity press because that model is really driven by book sales to the author.
This is Ron Pramshafer, and welcome to Publish Basics Radio, where weekly we try to help you navigate the self-publishing minefield. Today's guest is Bryan Smith, President and CEO of Author House. Bryan, your homepage describes Author House as a self-publishing company. What's a self-publishing company?
Well, what Author House does is we provide a range of products and services to help authors, both the new authors and experienced authors, publish their book and get their voice in print. So from our perspective, we enable the author to kind of take charge of the publishing process, and that's what we mean by self-publishing.
All right. Now, according to the last one I saw on your site was a 2004 press release, said that you had 2 million books to date and 18,500 authors. Where do you stand now in 2005?
We have more than 25,000 authors.
Wow. And
we print well over 1 million books a year at this point.
Okay, that's good. Now, question: iUniverse, they had their Amy Fisher this year. Who did Author House have?
We have a range of authors. An author named Rita Rudner, that is a comedian based out of Las Vegas. We have a handful of books that you would recognize as popular movies. So one example would be Legally Blonde. Was a book that was originally published at Author House. Another is a book called Long March to Freedom, but it is the movie was called Proof of Life, which was a movie with Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe. And so we have a wide range of authors. So
now, were these all done as POD, or were they all like with the Amy Fisher book? I had talked to Susan Driscoll one other day, and they ran that more like a traditional publishing house than the true POD.
And we do books. We print based on what we think the demand is going to be, and so we view print on demand as a printing technology. And depending on whether it's us or the author believe the demand for the title to be, we make a business decision about how to print it. The majority of our books, the vast majority of our books, we use the print-on-demand technology to print, though. But we have, in any given week, we have books that will have print runs of, more than 1,000 copies, because there's a lot of demand for them. So,
okay, you do them offset, or you still do them print-on-demand?
Well, it depends again on the page length and the nature of the book, but the majority of those are done on an offset basis.
Okay. How big a company is Author House? Or how many employees do you have?
We have approximately 200 employees.
Well, that's a pretty big place. Everybody, is it located in Indiana?
It is.
All the employees in Indiana?
We have a half a dozen or so employees located in Milton Keynes, which is in the United Kingdom, and the rest of the employees are located in Indiana, so either in Indianapolis or in Bloomington. And the majority of our employees are in Bloomington, Indiana. All
right, that's great. Now, how many salespeople you have?
We have roughly 45 salespeople.
And out of these, how many of them are? How do you have that split between people selling new authors and people selling, books to bookstores?
Well, we have 45 people that are focused on working with authors, and we call them author service representatives. And one of the things that I think makes Author House distinct is we're very focused on providing personal attention to the author, and we view the author as our customer. And then we have a half a dozen or so people in addition to the group I just described that work in our book order department. So they're working directly with bookstores.
Now, do you have any problem? Because I get on this kick every once in a while with anybody that's not traditional publishers like a vanity press. You got any trouble being called a vanity press?
I think we're very different than a traditional vanity press. I think a good way to think about us is a company that provides services to authors. And so we're different than a traditional publisher for sure. But we are very different than what you might think of as a traditional vanity press, because, again, that model is really driven by book sales to the author. And our model is driven by whatever the author's objectives are. And so, the first step for us is to figure out what the author's trying to accomplish, and then how can we bring our resources to bear to help them achieve that goal. And so I think there's a dramatic difference there.
I just got a kick. I just found this last night. If you do a Google search under Vanity Publishing or Vanity Press, you guys are the #1 paid ad. And it says need a Vanity publisher, print as many books as you need, register free author guide, Author House.
We, again, that is not necessarily what how our model is centered, but it is, it depends on how people are thinking about the world and how they find us. And so, Google is it's a great tool, and you can identify thousands of different terms that somebody may enter into the world of publishing by typing in a certain term. And so you'll find our name that will come up when you type in lots of different things. So
okay, but that was under paid ad, so
but yeah, we proactively work with literally thousands of different terms. So.
All right. Now, one thing I got in one of these magazines, one of your competitors is running like a full page ad. And it's kind of neat in a way, and it's sort of slanted towards their own service. But it asks basically Author House, Ex Libris, and iUniverse to answer. Can you check off? Do you do the following? You may or may not know about the ad. It's all over the place. I can't believe And there's a couple of the items, I'm not going to read them all off, but there's a couple of them that are kind of interesting. And the first one, and of course this particular advertiser, they've got to check for everything. They do it all as if, they're going to prove their point. But their first point is accept all bookstore returns at no extra cost to you. Now, I always thought that the book return with POD was sort of counterproductive, that it was so expensive it didn't make any sense.
Well, booksellers, right or wrong, the bookselling industry has an expectation that books, they'd like books to be returnable. And what we do is we actually allow people, again, it comes down to what the author's trying to accomplish. And so we allow people to buy a program that makes their book fully returnable, for a period of time. And so, our books are returnable, to the extent that somebody chooses that as an option.
But do many people buy that often? Many people pick you up on that?
A great number of people buy it.
Because I'm just curious. I mean, if we use the average sale, and again, you can't do everything by average, but, your average sale is somewhere between 100 and 200 books, right? And you're selling the return option for like $700. So it doesn't seem like that good of a deal. I mean, or are these only the ones that, think they're going to be bestsellers?
Well, I mean, again, it's people whose goal is to, have a commercially successful book. And, there are lots of things that go into whether or not a book will end up being commercially successful, including whether or not, they're viewed as on an even playing field by the bookstore. And so to get onto that, kind of even playing field, returnability is something that the bookstores require. And so, again, we have a large number of books that we've published, and we have a wide distribution in terms of the number of copies that are sold. And so taking averages is somewhat misleading, I think, in this particular case.
Mm-hmm. All right. And the next thing they bring up, use a simple contract, no confusing lawyer talk. Now, I'm not sure about what lawyers speak. I'm not sure exactly what lawyer speak means. I mean, I think we all live with that. But I did notice that your contract is like 4 pages long, and only the first 2.5 pages have to do with specifications, and the last page and a half have to do with legal remedies for solving disputes. Is that because you have a lot of disputes, or is that because you just owned by a huge corporation? Or, I mean, it did seem a little odd.
And again, I haven't ever taken, all of our competitors' contracts and laid them next to each other. Our contract has evolved over time. And, you bring up a good point. It's probably due for a fresh set of eyes.
Okay. Now, the last two of these kind of go together. The one said no sales force on commission that solicits you to add extra expenses to the publishing of your book. And the second has one all-encompassing fee with no confusing price plans. Now, I looked at your pricing. It seemed pretty clear to me. Although you do have a lot of options. And bringing back, I think I'm probably a little bit older than you, but back in my day, the saying was like, how much is your $14.95 muffler? that was what was advertised, and you never got a muffler for $14.95. Can I really get my book published and distributed for that base $698?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And what percentage do you think out of your? I mean, obviously you've got options. You're trying to offer people as many things as you can. What percentage would you think that they'll do just the base, get me in, get me out, I want a book, versus adding on different options?
Again, it comes down to what somebody's why they're publishing, what their goal is. Mm-hmm. I think for people that are writing a book that might be something like a memoir book, or maybe has a narrower universe, and they're not necessarily going. Their goal isn't commercial, trying to have a commercially viable book. For that group, I think probably the majority of people just buy that base program. Mm-hmm. For folks that are focused on really driving the number of copies that they sell, those people end up getting services related to marketing and promoting their book, and whether or not they buy them from us or they buy them from somebody else, is for the author to decide. And many people buy them from us, but they end up doing those things regardless, because that's the nature of proactively promoting and selling your book. I mean, you have to somehow you have to do those things. Either you do them yourself, or you pay somebody to do them on your behalf.
That's it. Easy as that. Yeah. So now, if I read right now, the $698, it says, basically, you'll prepare the interiors for distribution, design a full color cover, obtain an ISBN, register to work with distributors, so it'll be available for sale via all POD. And that's whatever. That's the base price of $698. Based on that, can I assume that the author owns that ISBN and they own the printing file when they want to move, or they want to cancel the contract?
At Author House, at least, the author owns the work. What Author House owns is just the physical piece that we create and store on our server. But if somebody wanted to change publishers or stop making their book available for whatever reason, we'd be happy to cancel it and forward it on directly to them. So it's the author always maintains control of their own work and ownership of their work.
Oh, okay. So you'll give me my old PDF file back?
Whatever was sent to us originally, absolutely. Now, whatever we've
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, whatever we've worked on or designed, again, is something that we maintain. But if somebody
so that design for the full color cover,
right? Well, and once we put
does the author get that?
No, what we do with that, obviously, is we push it into the distribution system, and so that is not we don't send those files around after they've been created, other than to put them in place at the printer so that they can be printed.
Okay, because that's the one thing. Now I've scoured your contract over the last since you were first books, and it just seems like, and you're not the only one. It just seems like that point could be made a little clearer in your contract. When you say maybe it's time to go back and look at the contract.
Yeah, that's a good.
It just seems like that could be a clearer point, because I doubt if very, very, very few people understand that it looks like they're paying for a design, they're paying for layout, and then it's time to leave. Well, give me I want my file, and it's like, well, no, that's ours. Printers used to do that for years. But it's not as well laid out as everything else in that contract. It seems like this a paragraph could be added to avoid confusion, and just put this right in the contract.
I'll have to look into that.
But that's only my 10 cents worth, or 2 cents worth on that one. Back on the commission salespeople question. I assume your salespeople are on commission.
Yeah, they get paid
only
commission and base salary. So similar, I think, to most salespeople.
Yeah. I wouldn't trust a salesman that's not on commission. They don't work. There's no incentive for them to work. The question is, though, what kind of you're dealing primarily with novices here. What kind of system of oversight do you have in place to keep these salesmen? Salesmen on commission. Commission salesmen are supposed to sell. What kind of system do you have in place to keep people from being oversold, from being sold things, that they just shouldn't buy? Like I sell you a couple $100 worth of bookmarks. Who cares? I sell you a New York Times ad for a couple $1,000, and I know you've got a book that that's worthless. All I've done is take your money. And is there anything in place to
I think that we do several things. One is we are very focused today on making sure that there are good expectations set with every customer on the way into our process. And I think, if you look at the number of customers that publish more than one book with us, it would tell you that most people, I think, know what they're getting when they come in. They get what they expected to get, and are very happy with the experience. And so we also survey every customer after the sales process and after their book has been produced to understand, how did that experience go with the people they were dealing with, along the way. And so I told you originally we call them author service representatives, but once somebody's signed up with us to publish their book, we go through a process of making sure that experience with the author services rep went well, and if it didn't, we provide that feedback directly back to the individual.
Okay. And anytime you're dealing with 20,000 people, you got to have a certain amount of nuts that you're dealing with, but generally the people are pretty happy.
Oh, absolutely. I think, the overwhelming majority of people, we ask the question, the first question we asked in the survey is, would you refer us to a friend? And over 90% of the people, would do that. And then I think that's a great testament to the team we have that works here.
All right. Well, it was real nice talking to you today. Learned a few things, and I'd love to have you back on again.
Well, good. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. For Publishing Basics Radio, this is Ron Crampshafer. See you next week.